everyone, and welcome to another edition of Inside Board Games. Today I am talking to my friend Tommy from the Dized company. The Dized app, Dized company? Dized.
Well, yeah, both. Dized is the company name and also the name of our app. So,
okay.
Yep.
As you know, on Inside Board Games, I like to talk about all kinds of aspects of board games. I talk to designers, we talk to publishers, but what Tommy does and what Dized does is something kind of unique. And instead of me pretending to know more than you about your own app, tell everybody what Dized does.
Okay, so hey everyone. So I'm Tommy from Dized, as introduced, and what we have is a companion app for board games. So we work with a digital product in a very much kind of a cardboardy and meeplishy world. So we combine analog with digital, and our companion app is meant to be used together with the board game. So we are not building digital games or anything like that. It's you use it together when you're playing a game. And right now, what we are concentrating heavily on is interactive tutorials. So when we were kind of starting the business and we knew that we wanted to do something digital in the board gaming space, this is something that a lot of publishers and designers were very interested on. Like, how can we help people play games, make them easier, remove the rulebook obstacle, which
Right.
is pretty much still inside the box. So that's what we're concentrating on, is bringing the best friend at the table who knows how to teach the game inside every box in the world. That's basically Dized does right now.
I mean, that's huge. I mean, rule books, very few people like to read rule books. I don't like it. And the Dized app, I always think of it as it's like you're sitting down at the table with the designer, and he or she is explaining how to play their game. But actually, it's kind of better than that, because a tutorial is the Dized tutorials are very, very direct and very straightforward. I've talked to and I've actually played games with designers before, and they tend to sort of they kind of go off on tangents, and they want to tell like the backstory of all these cards and stuff, and Dized is much more straightforward. And as you were talking, I was almost gonna break in and clarify, because you were talking about digital companion, and I was going to tell everyone, he means tutorial, but that's just a one part, and you're thinking of more maybe later. And what would that look like?
Yeah, even now we already have a bit more, and we're currently, of course, looking into the future. But right now, as I said, the main thing we have, the most interesting thing for players, I think, is the interactive tutorials.
Oh, yeah.
Besides that, we have a digitized rulebook, which is broken down indexed rulebook that you can ask basically questions. It has an FAQ. It's very easy to update for publishers, and we tend to keep that as the most up-to-date version of the rules available. And it's search engine optimized. So when you ask in Google, for example, a question in Carcassonne, typically it might even give the first hit as Dized. So those are the two rule-related products we have. And then we have what we call extras. So with our tools that we use to build the tutorials with, we can do all sorts of cool digital stuff. So we're not stopping with the tutorials, but we are allowing publishers and game designers to design digital extras for their games. And the simplest ones could be something like dice rollers or spinners or something like that, which are very easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then going from that, it could be extra adventures, soundtracks. It could be extra characters or character sheets, and anything basically digital companions. And right now during Spiel, the first game was published that is using Dized extra as a component in the game.
Oh,
so basically, when you wanna, it has a sort of a timer function, and level generator, and you use the Dized extra with the game. And that's kind of it's not the first extra we have in the app, but that's definitely the first one that's basically designed to work together with the.
What game is that?
That's from Hans im Glück, and it was just released. Let me quickly find. I'm not sure. The extra is for right. The extra is just time travel extra. So the game is called Time Travel, and the extra is just called like Time Travel Extra. I thought we had a kind of a more elaborate name for it, but it's just Time Travel Extra.
Well, I mean, sometimes simple is best.
Yep.
So you mentioned Essen. I mean, you're kind of fresh off Essen. I'm not sure when people will be watching this, but Essen was a couple of weeks ago, if my timetable is correct. Because I know that you've been to Gen Con also. What kind of things are you doing at these big conventions? Are you there mainly to kind of interact with your users, or are you there to sort of grow your library of games for your users?
Yeah, that heavily depends on basically both the event that we are attending and the year. So, for example, with both Gen Con and Essen or Spiel, we have had shows where we have a nice booth that is very outward kind of displayed, where people can come to the tables and play different games with the Dized console to just to push our marketing message outside. And then there are shows when we don't even have a booth, and we are heavily concentrating on just meeting with publishers and designers and media and just getting more projects into Dized. So it depends. And that's the same goes with B2B shows. For example, when we attend Gamma event, which is a retailer show, we every now and then we have a booth that is kind of outward facing towards retailers so that they can learn how Dized works. So it's kind of a both. We do enjoy having a nice booth and getting all that feedback and getting players to know about Dized. But of course, that is a time away from us meeting more and more publishers and getting more and more projects.
Right. Yeah. That's a balanced. Tell me about your role at Dized. You're the founder of Dized. So how did this idea kind of come up?
Yeah, so I'm a co-founder. So we founded the company with my friend Joni, and this was back 10 years ago. And Joni was backpacking the world back then, and one day he just sent me a random message from, I don't know where he was, some beach in Southeastern Asia, saying that, hey, I'm designing a board game and I want to get it published, and we hadn't seen in a couple of years at that point. And I just replied to him like, hey, me too. Like, I was just coincidentally designing also a board game that I wanted to get published, and then we started talking, and basically a year later, when he came back to Finland, after a couple of twists and turns, we decided that, hey, let's design a game together and get it published. And that's when the company was founded. And we didn't start out with Dized. We actually started, the company is basically the mother company is called Boardgames. Okay. And with that, we designed a board game called Race to the North Pole.
Yes, I played it. It's a fun game. I like that game.
Thank you. It even comes now with the Dized tutorial. But yeah, that was a nice success. We got a good 2 print runs out of it, and it got good reviews. But our main goal with that was to get to know the industry, to know how the game design process works. Where do we print games? How does that work? How do we get the games into retail and all that stuff? And that worked brilliantly. And already back then, we knew that we wanted to add something digital with it. And when we had the Race to North Pole and with a small digital component, we showed that to the publishers and said that we can do this. We're going to concentrate on a digital companion. Is this something that you would be interested in? We can do like rules and extras and components and and like extra text that you can sell in the app and tutorials. And that's when the publishers were on tutorials. Like, what are those? And that's how we then got basically started. And that was around 2016 when we started to really concentrate on the digital side, so Dized, and then we ditched the kind of a board game design for now. We always do that. We'll have a few years pause, and then we come back to our 25 designs that we have lying around.
Yeah.
We're not still there yet. Maybe someday we'll have a bit more time to design another game, but right now we're like 100% concentrated on Dized.
Right.
And what I do in the company, besides that I'm a founder, I'm a COO, which means that I kind of look inward to the company and take care of the internal business. But besides that, we are still a startup, so I get to do everything. So I'm doing marketing and social media stuff, and taking care of the community things and the content creators, and of course all the company stuff that comes with it. So I have several hats and several pants on the stuff.
Sure. I wanted to talk a little bit about the app itself, because what kind of amazes me about the app, and first of all, I'm surprised that there's not a million other companies out there that are doing this. And sorry, hate to blow your secret or whatever, or give anyone else ideas. I'm surprised that there's not more, because watching, I think a lot of people would rather watch like a YouTube video about how to play a game than read the rule book. And this goes so much farther beyond that, giving, basically it is a digital rule book, and you can go back to, things. And, when you watch a video, you can rewatch a video, but if you don't quite understand something, it's easier to move around in the Dized app. And what I also kind of like about the Dized app is that it'll hold your hand through the first couple rounds. But then once the rounds start just repeating themselves, the app will basically say, okay, you're good. Come back to me when you get to this point, and because that'll be something new. And that's something that you really can't get anywhere else. I wanted to talk a little bit about the how the app gets made. Now, you don't have a huge staff of people in a big high rise somewhere in downtown Helsinki or something. Wait, Helsinki's in Finland, right?
Yes.
Okay. Right
Helsinki.
Right after I said it, I'm like, yo, geography. So, anyways, how do you get the app to look so the same? And when you're looking at a Dized app and you look at all the different titles, you're kind of know you're looking at a Dized app. Everything is kind of on Dized brand, but it is also very on brand to the game itself, and you cover a very wide variety of games. And so, how do you get the balance of making it look like their game, but also making it also look like your app?
So it took a long time. As I said, we started with around 2016, and to your very first question, like why aren't any other companies doing this? That's exactly what we were doing the research on when we were attending shows and showing our game. Like, is there anything like this on the market, and why isn't there? Like, video games did rule books 25 years ago. I mean, I remember buying those games that came with a rulebook, X Lions, and you needed to actually study that a bit before you could fly properly. Now, right. They replaced that with digital tutorials that teach you as you go, and we were looking like, why isn't this done with board games? And we found out after a few years of development that it's not very easy to do these tutorials. So since our aim with the app is to create a space that every publisher and designer can attend to. If we'd be selling these tutorials 20,000 a pop, which it would cost if we would do this one by one in Unity, like designing every flow like that and programming it in,
sure,
we would have a lot of customers. So we built a tool set that works online that you use with your browser, and it lowers the bar so much that our goal was and is that any publisher or designer can use the tool. I'm not very tech savvy. I know my way around computers, but I can very easily create really good looking tutorials with the Dized tool. And that's how we make sure that every tutorial that is published in the system comes out looking the same. We use the official assets from the publisher, so everything is like official art from the game. And the publishers work with us with the tutorial, so they check them out and approve them, and we do our quality control and quality check that everything feels and looks right. And then the end result is a tutorial that is very thematic to the game, with the music and the artwork and all that stuff. And some we even have voice actors doing the voiceovers, and they sound and look very good and very thematic. So basically, it comes down to a lot of research, a long time to build a tool set that is the same for everyone. So now, if a publisher wants to do a tutorial, they can do it for free with our tool set online and publish it on the platform for free. So there are so many indie publishers who might have time but don't have money. So we invite them to join in as well.
Okay. How does that, I mean, how popular has that been for people to do that? Because I mean, not all of your, I mean, are all of your apps designed by the publishers, or do the publishers, you know, do you have a lot of publishers come to you like, I'm not tech savvy, you know, I just, you know, could you do this for me? And how does that work?
There are publishers who want to have kind of a keys in hand. So they just send us the print assets and we just do the whole tutorial for them. There are publishers who are willing to, they want to do the script themselves on how the flow is built and the interactive features. And there are publishers who want to build everything themselves. So it ranges from like building everything to us building the whole thing. And we're not building the tutorials in-house. Just say we're a small company and we have basically one full-time content creator, and they couldn't pull out the amount of tutorials that we're squeezing out every month. So we actually have very thriving content creator community who basically we or the publishers hire to create the tutorials, and they get paid pretty well. So we already have a couple of creators who are doing full-time Dized tutorials, so they are employed basically as freelancers, but doing nothing but Dized tutorials.
Okay, all right. So so you have kind of a freelance community that is so your company is kind of very scalable then.
Yep,
you know.
That's the whole idea. I mean, our value is to get as much content to the platform as possible. We are building those more features to the app all the time, like the extras that was kind of a low-hanging fruit for us, but we are planning on other features as well, and we can concentrate on developing those features and have those content creators creating the tutorials and all that stuff, the content in the app. So that's how we scale up. And since we educate all the content creators ourselves, we have online courses, and when they join in our Discord, we take care of them and make sure that they learn everything. That's how we make sure that when they hop into the actual projects, it will go smoothly.
Okay. So that's how everything remains true to the game art, because it all is game art from the publisher, and that's how it all stays on brand to Dized, because they're all using kind of your gateway or your interface to do it. That's fascinating. I always like to. I like to.
Sorry, just like for us, it's if somebody uses a tutorial once and it's not good, that will be the last time they use a tutorial. So we just need to make sure that no matter which tutorial they pick, they will get the same experience as they will have with every tutorial. And that's our quality control. It's very Apple-like.
Well, I mean, when it comes to quality control, Apple is not a bad model to have
Yeah.
For quality control. Well, you must stay pretty busy then, keeping up with all these and keep making sure that everything works and it's a good experience for the user.
Yeah.
I noticed that some of the voices in the tutorials are you can tell that they're AI voices, but others seem like it's a real person. You said that sometimes it'll be a real person doing the voiceover, and sometimes not. That's a publisher choice? Then I guess.
Yeah, basically, it's very easy to include voiceovers in a Dized tutorial, and that publisher can decide to do it themselves, or they can hire us to find a voiceover person for that. But of course, the thing is that how we build our tutorials are that they are very easy to localize. So right now, we have tutorials that are around like 12 or 15 languages, and it's very easy to push on the voiceovers for those. And why the voiceovers are great, even though they don't sound as good as a human voice yet. But why they are great is that when there are fixes needed to be done into the tutorial, we can very easily fix it, upload it, and then it's there. If we need to re-record a line every 2 weeks to fix something, that would take a long time. So it has its benefits to use the robots talking. But of course, when you're watching this in 2026, all of this, like, you won't recognize an AI voice anymore.
Yeah,
so
I believe that.
a problem for today, basically.
Yeah, I remember sometimes the AI voice has trouble with a word that is spelled the same but pronounced two different ways, and the two different pronunciations have different meanings.
Yep.
But I'm sure that AI will get better as far as context goes. Since we started talking a little bit about AI, I kind of I know that AI is a huge topic just out there in the world in general, but it's also a big topic in the board game design sphere. A lot of people are against it, but that's more from a design standpoint. How do you, what's your take on kind of the use of AI in the world of board games?
I definitely see use cases for it. For example, I think it was Tom Vassell who had a video where he was talking about this very good AI supported site, I think it was, that crawls your rules of, like, you upload them a PDF and it indexes it and you can ask questions about it. It's basically something like what we have, but it's backed by AI. So we already have Dized rule books that you can ask questions and it will find you the correct answers, but that's when it's coming from an AI, it's a step further. We do know that, like, asking ChatGPT might give you right answer or wrong answer, but even if it's wrong, it's very convincingly said. So what is good here is a tool that would be designed for that. It would be great to have, like, hey, how do I score points if the red meeple is here, and you'd get the right answer. And that's, of course, what we are looking to do as well, to integrate in our services. So something like that, it's fantastic. It's a good benefit for the players. Then there's, of course, the design aspect, and I'm not too qualified to comment on that outside that. For example, I do love designing games, and nowadays I even design games with my kid. And when he really wanted to have Luigi's Mansion kind of a board game, and I wanted to produce graphics for it, I just couldn't. So getting kind of just a graphic for him that we can doodle over and see how it looks from an AI robot, that's great. But that's where I would leave using AI tools, just like for concepting purposes. It's great. We've seen examples where it goes further than that, so that's of course problematic.
Yeah,
And with Dized, we are looking how we can use AI to make our job easier. For example, when we are writing scripts for games on how to teach it in a good way, we to this day we haven't found a good tool that would make a good interactive tutorial script. But once again, it's today's problem. We need to look 2 years ahead. Can we use a tool that would help us write a script, or at least the basis of it, and then we would kind of make sure that it's good. So there are use cases and there are problems.
Yeah, I mean, I think that as a tool, it's a very powerful tool, but then it's going to get to a point where the tool is too powerful, and I don't know. To me, I can understand in the procedural part, if you're going to have AI proofreading your script or something like that, or making maybe things go faster. I mean, it's interesting. I use AI all the time when I record a video. I rely on AI to make sure the camera is focused. And I put filters on stuff. If I got the color wrong, I'll put a filter on so it'll look better. That's all AI. And it's all a great tool to just make the user experience better. But we're getting into a world where it's going beyond that, and it's starting to, if you start to replace people, I mean, there's a lot of ethical concerns with that, and also kind of for me, one of the big things that I enjoy with games is the art and the artwork and the creative aspect, and I just don't know. If I just feel kind of bland about a game that all the artwork was created by a computer.
Yeah, and it's when it's created by the computer, it's something that has been done before. Whether you know of it or not, it is something that's been done before.
Yeah, that's true. Because if you've ever seen an AI try to create a video, like if you see those memes or whatever on social media where someone has a still photo and it's made into a motion video through AI, and it might be okay for a second or two, but then it quickly just explodes into this weird whatever. It's kind of weird, creepy thing. It's kind of hard to describe.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a massive topic, of course, and we will, since the tools are out there, we will see how this industry will use those tools as well, and we'll see in the future on exactly how, of course. But I'm happy that everybody is kind of this is an open discussion, and it's happening on multiple platforms, and both publishers, designers, and the community is pitching in, and we are trying to find ways to keep this industry so that it doesn't get ran over. Since this is a lot of design, a lot of artwork, a lot of ideas and mechanics and stuff like the design processes, so that there's still need for a human in the future as well.
Yeah, for sure. Just getting back to the app for here. What was the one thing that I wanted to ask before is, what was one of kind of the tougher games that you've done the Dized app for?
So of course, if you just weigh the game on a scale, and the heavier it is, the more difficult the tutorials to do. That's one part. It's some of the heaviest games we have aren't actually the toughest ones to create a tutorial for.
Mhm.
since even if there's 60 pages of rules, if the game flows beautifully and on the first turn you have a couple of options that you can do and then it expands from there little by little, it's actually, while it takes a long time to do, the process is pretty simple. Our biggest problems have been with the games that land you like, okay, let's get started. You can do everything on your first move or
Mhm.
your first turn. And then we need to start looking at like, how can we limit the player's options? Since we don't want to be front heavy with rules. We want to get players playing immediately and having fun. We want to have them making decisions from the beginning, since that's when uh, learning happens. That you learn something and then you do it. But if we give you 27 actions in the beginning, you won't remember 25.
Right.
And those are the kind of pickles that we've had even with simpler games. Like let's take Seven Wonders as an example.
Mhm.
You get the hand of cards and you can play any of them. How do we limit the amount of cards or actions in your hand? Since typically when you play Seven Wonders, when I play Seven Wonders, I start with building resources. I play a brown card or a gray card.
Mhm.
So can we start with those? Then we count like, okay, it's possible, very unlikely, but possible that a player doesn't have any brown cards or gray cards in their hand.
Right.
So what do we do now? Do we uh, alter the setup in a way that makes sure that everyone has those cards, or do we give an option that if this happens, click this button and you will get introduced to a red card? And
Yeah, okay.
those kind of tutorials have been, in my opinion, the toughest ones to do. As said, they might not take as long, but they make us really think through on how can we make the learning experience fun,
Mhm.
entertaining, and make sure that everybody gets just enough information to start and have fun from the beginning.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, there's a whole, left, right, neighbor aspect to the Seven Wonders, and I know that you guys kind of test the heck out of these before they get released with a lot of um, a lot of play testing.
Yep, that's very important for us, and we try to find as many play testers in different kind of areas as possible. We want to have kids play testing family games. We want to have those geeks play testing also the family games, but the heavier games as well, since everybody spots different things. And for us, right now, we need to make sure that everybody can learn from the Dized tutorials. So for like heavy gamers, some tutorials might seem a bit repetitive, or
Mm.
like a simple information can be taught very thoroughly. But that's our way of making sure that, hey, not everyone is as a hardcore gamer as you, so we
Right.
need to make sure that they enjoy this experience well.
Hmm.
But going to the future, one of the features that we are going to build to Dice is um, it will have basically brains that will see how experienced of a player you are and then modify the tutorial experience based on your gamer profile.
Oh, okay.
But that's one of the future things as well that we are looking a bit later.
Okay. Well, whenever we play, games on the channel using the Dized app, we have the ability to go forward, and if we're like, well, we know all this, we skip forward, then we usually realize no, we didn't, but we're able to go back and see
Yeah,
it again. One thing I do want to viewers of this, if you've never used the Dized app before, just as a heads up, when you buy a game that the game says, oh, it takes 30 minutes to play. If you do play with the Dized app, I mean, it should be obvious, but I'm going to say it anyways. It's going to take a lot longer than 30 minutes because the tutorial, it's got the teach component too. So I think we played. We just put Life in Reterra online, and that game only took us about half hour to play, but the video is like an hour and 10 minutes long because we went through every step of the tutorial. Just so when when you're going through the tutorial, it's so easy, and it's fun and engaging. And you might like lose track of time, and then might not realize later that, well, it was the teach and the game that took the time.
Yeah. And
Just
it's
something to keep in mind.
basically, if you play with your friend on the table who would teach you as you play, the same thing would happen.
Right, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
and if you would have played Life in Reterra without the app, then one of you would have to sit down, read the rule book, maybe watch a video, have a kind of a demo session, and then come to the table, and then you would have been able to play it. He would have been able to teach you. So of course, it takes longer when you're learning the game, but when you're learning as you go, it's very different from watching a video beforehand that will take an hour, and then you've forgotten 57
sure.
minutes of it anyway.
Yeah, because it's just one way. When you're just watching a video, just one way. With the tutorial, it's okay, do this, and then you do it. And that really reinforces the learning.
Yep.
So what's next for Dized? What secret games do you have in the works that you can't tell anyone? But since it's just you and me, you can tell me.
We have about inside the house and with the freelancers that we use, we have about 15 to 20 projects that we are currently on some level of production. We have a lot of deals that we are signing after that, and then there are several projects that are being done without us even knowing about it. Typically, publisher just lets us know that, hey, we have a new tutorial. Okay. We have a lot of games coming out, both classics and new games, family games and heavy kick games and party games. So everything in between. Basically, when you look at the Dized library of games, will continue in the same vein. And what is very important for us that we are heavily concentrating is on getting the Dized information in game boxes. So, for example, if I have this available, so Dwarf Romantic, when it was published, for example, it has the Dized information in the rulebook. This is not the best example, since we want to have the Dized information in the very first page before you start reading the rulebook, not after you're done.
Oh, that would be horrible. That would be horrible to get to the end of oh my gosh, get to the end of a rule book. You fight your way through it. It's like, oh, here it is at the end.
Oh, there was a better way. So most of the games, basically all of the games except for this that I just happen to have here, have the Dized information in the rulebook in the front page, QR code that takes you to the app. And that is very important, so the players will be able to find it. And then, of course, we want the publishers to print the Dized logos and information boxes inside the game box. So when you go to a game store, you will see that, hey, this is a Dized tutorial. Let's go home and play immediately. We don't need to read the rules.
Yeah.
And that's there are already retailers, friendly local game shops in North America that have shelves that only have Dized games because they are very easy to sell.
Oh, wow, okay.
Something today in a game night, they go to the shelf and if any of these, you're going to go home and play. And we wish to see that more in the future, so we're pushing for publishers to include those logos inside the boxes. And that's going really well. But
nice.
And of course, as said, we are looking in the future of the app, not just the tutorials and the extras, but other features as well. Since right now you use Dized when you play a game, but we want Dized to be your gateway to the hobby. We want it to be something that you check even though you're not playing games today. You'll be able to kind of control your hobby, see your friends, library functions, all that stuff. I don't want to get too much into detail, but that's in the road ahead in the next 1 to 5 years. All of that cool stuff will be added to Dized. But of course, our main thing right now, and probably in the future as well, will be those tutorials, since we founded the company with the owner because we hate reading rule books and we love playing games.
Right.
And this is the best way right now that we can do to remove rule books from games and just have fun from the beginning. So
Right.
we are very much concentrating on getting more better experiences with the interactive tutorials.
Yeah, and it's nothing against the game designers. It's not like, we hate game designers because they make rules. No, the rules are an important part of the game, and it's the designers that are using the app to just make their rules more palatable.
Yeah, we talk a lot with designers, for example, Eric Lang, who is very open about it, that he designs the game and teaches it to someone who writes the rule book, and he just wants better ways for people to learn games. So a lot of designers are like that. We are talking with a lot of people around the world, and they're very happy on how we can actually make that experience like the best friend experience on every home. And I said, not all the popular designers are best in teaching their games, but then again, we are becoming very good on creating those perfect experiences. So we work perfectly as a middleman there to convey the message from the designer to the player, just snipping out all the extra stuff.
It's a very eloquent solution to a sticky problem.
Yep.
So the people can find your app on the App Store, Google Play Store, all the places they find other apps. And designers or publishers who are interested, they just go through the Dized.com to connect with you guys.
Yep. And of course, Dized also works in web. So if you go to app.dized.com or just Dized.com, you will find the library there as well. And it's probably good to mention as well that Dized is free to use. So we are ad supported, but we run industry ads. So are even kind of nice to see trailers for board games there. But otherwise, just downloading the app and using the tutorials is free.
Okay. Yeah, you had mentioned some of that earlier, and I didn't want to get too much into that, but that's very interesting, especially if you're an independent publisher. If you want your rule book to be Dized and be on the app, it doesn't cost them anything. They just
no. That's true. As I said earlier, our value is to get as much content in the app as possible, and this is our way of getting it done. If you're a small publisher or a designer and you just don't have the money to hire someone to do the tutorial, creating it and publishing it doesn't cost anything. Since we do need to, of course, keep the platform running, we get our income from the ads. But this makes sure that every publisher in the world does have a fair chance of getting their content out there.
Do you have you have an ad-free version of the?
Yes, we have. You can subscribe to Dized Plus, which brings you all the extras that I mentioned that we are building. Those are included for free in the subscription, and of course it removes the ads from the app. But there is, of course, since some of our ads are really cool and it's very nice to it's very hard to see board gaming ads anywhere, so we will later on, requested by the community, add a button where you can actually be a subscriber and support Dized and still see your ads.
I think that's a good idea. I think there's a lot of people that they want to show their support, but they just don't want to sit through the ads.
Yep.
And it's I've known you for a couple years. I always thought that Dized it would cost publishers money to do it. And I've talked to publishers through this, and just at cons and stuff. I've talked to them about Dized, and they're like, "Wow, that sounds awesome!" And they always ask me, "Well, how much does it cost?" And I always say, "Well, I don't know. You'd have to contact them, because I didn't want to, whatever." I've got some phone calls to make because I need to tell those people, "Hey, it's free. It's free."
Yeah,
So,
and even if you just don't have the time, creating a simple tutorial or hiring someone to do it costs like 1,500.
okay.
Starting from that, and of course scaling up depending on the game difficulty. But we try to lower the bar even there. So even if you're hiring someone, it's for a simple game, it's a week or two of work. So even then it doesn't cost a lot.
Yep. I'm going to message some people right now.
Great. I'll be waiting for their emails in the morning.
Yes. Well, Tony, it was great talking to you. Thanks for giving me like the inside look into the Dized app, because like I said, I've played it before and really enjoyed it, and I'm always fascinated by kind of the behind the scenes and behind the tech, and where ideas come from, and how they come together. So It was great learning about your app, and best of luck to you in the future.
Thank you. It was great chatting with you, and there's so many things that we just didn't have time to touch on, since I could talk about Dized all day long, as you know. I usually do. But maybe we can have another one of these sessions at some time in the future when we have some other cool stuff to show as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, when we get those extras coming out, we'd love to have you back. And for everyone who is watching, thanks so much for tuning into this edition of Inside Board Games. Don't forget to check out the Dized app wherever you get your favorite apps. And I say favorite because this will be one of your favorite apps. We'll see you next time.